I come to you versus I go to him. And both of you guys are my uncle. And I'm his son, okay, hypothetically. So I go to Adam. And I say, Adam, I got to tell you, man, I'm so sick of my dad, Rob. It's just, I'm so sick of it. He wants me to do this. He wants me to do that. He wants me to eat this. He wants me to train like this. He wants me to read this book. I'm so freaking tired of my dad. Adam says the following. He says, your dad's been annoying for his entire life. He's my brother. I've known him. He's annoying. Just be patient. When you're 18, get the hell away from him as quickly as possible, okay? You shouldn't have to work that hard. That's not fair. You're just a kid. Why is he pushing you so hard? That's not what he should be doing. A lot of people disagree with your dad, but unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it right now, okay? That's one uncle. Now, I go to his other brother. It's you. I say, Uncle Kyle, my dad is this. My dad is that. He's so annoying. And you say, just be lucky that's your dad, okay? Because he's raising a leader. One day you're going to do this. One day you're going to do that. One day you're going to do this. I would be very grateful that you have the dad that you have. There's two philosophies in America right now. One is feeling sorry for you constantly. The other one is telling you, step up and lead and do something about it. I like this more because it's keeping less people dependent on a system. This is keeping more people dependent on the system. This mindset increases taxes. This mindset decreases taxes. What are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, let me just be clear. I've never met a tax cut for the working class that I didn't love. I love cutting taxes on working class people. So I'm not talking, I'd give them even more money, right? So what I'm talking about is more on the top end.
But you know what I'm talking? I'm talking about contributing.
No, I understand that. Yeah. But let me just address the point because I think there's an important counter argument, which is I don't think a system can justify somebody working full time and then they don't get paid enough money to even survive. I think that system has failed to prove itself as being the best system. To your point, in fact, I almost agree with your point maybe more than you do because I want to reward the hard work. And my point is, I feel like the hard work is not being rewarded right now because I think basically 95% of the country is trying their hardest and in many instances just treading water in the same place and not getting it.
I don't know if it's 95%, but I think majority are. I don't think it's 95%.
Okay. So we have broad agreement on that, yes.
Yeah, no, I do. But here's the part. So when you're talking about, if a person's working a full-time job and they're not able to pay the bills, I don't think that's fair. Okay?
Good.
Fine. No, you're saying that. No, I didn't say
you were
that.
agreeing.
I'm just repeating. No, I'm not agreeing.
Oh, look,
I'm not agreeing, but this is what I would say.
We agree now.
You know what I would say? Here's what I would say to them. Okay. Here's what I would say to them. There was a time my market value was $375 an hour, and they probably overpaid, when they were paying me $375 an hour because I was not a good employee, okay? There was a time my market value was $6 an hour, okay? When I worked at Burger King, I was $4.75 an hour, okay? When I worked at Bally Total Fitness, it was $7.20 an hour. That's what they paid me. That was the market value for me because the military paid me pennies on a dollar because the military, you're working 100 hours a week. So they're not paying you a lot of money. You make $800 a month. You're broke. So when I'm sitting there at Bally's and I'm making $7 an hour, okay, and I'm broke and I can't do anything, you know what I would do on my break? I always had a book I read. So I would sit, they would make fun of me. I would sit there and I'm reading a book. I'm a 1.8 GPA guy, okay? I'm not a guy that's a reading guy. I'm a guy that first book I ever finished in my life, cover to cover, I was 21 years old. First book I ever finished, I was 21 years old. So I'm sitting there and on my break, this guy named Jose, who was my boss, he would come and make fun of me. He'd say, Patrick, what are you doing? You believe in this dream type of stuff of being a millionaire. Do you realize I make $80,000 a year? I drive a nice BMW. I got a great life. You think these books are going to change your life? And I'm like, listen, man, I have no desire to make $80,000 because that's a tough life for me. I saw what my mom and dad did. I don't want to do what you're doing. You're clubbing 5 nights a week. You're on your third marriage. I just don't want that life. And I told him straight up. He's like, what? It's like, I don't want your life. It's that simple. I just don't want your life. And I think there's a lot of people that don't want that life. But rather than saying, I think it's unfair that these people are making only this much and they can barely pay their bills, my question to them is, what are you doing to increase your market value? If you increase, for example, you're using an iPhone, right? Why don't you use a BlackBerry? Why don't you use an old Nextel? Why don't you use a Nokia? Why do you use a BlackBerry? Why do you use an iPhone?
It's pretty arbitrary. I just, whatever phone fell in my lap.
I don't think that's the case, though. I don't think that's the case.
And also, those things they're not really sold anymore anyway.
Some of them are. Some of the shitty phones are still around. But the point is the following. you need that phone because you need to check your creative studios. You need to check YouTube. You need to get back on Twitter. You're a personality. People want to see what you have to say. So that phone has made the best argument to you as a market value. That's why you're using that phone, not some of the older phones. I think the same way Apple has made the argument to you to use their phone is the same way a lot of people need to sit there and say, well, maybe my market value is only $42,000 here.
See, I don't disagree with you, though. That's the thing. I think we're talking past each other because if your argument is, if I boil it down to its simplest form, if your argument is, look, try your best, don't stop trying, learn, keep reading, keep expanding your horizons, don't take no for an answer, keep grinding. If that's your message, we have total agreement. Because I see nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, I would also, look, I like to dabble every now and then as well into the, listening to various self-help stuff, listening to a motivational rant. Sometimes it gets me fired up. Sometimes I listen and I'm like, let's fucking go. Let's do this thing. So we don't disagree at all. I think the only area of disagreement we have is that even if we had a society where literally 100% of people did what you're recommending there, the problem is that the system itself does not reward that inherently. So we could still have 10 million people living in abject poverty and be working poor. So they're still trying, but they still just get a bad roll of the dice and they don't get far enough. That's the thing that I'm focused on in terms of the system and how to fix it. In terms of the individual, you and I have total agreement because, of course, I would give the people in my life personally and to my audience, I'd give them the exact same advice you just gave, which is, and by the way, how do you think I made it on YouTube in the first place? Well, you think I'm just better than everybody? My personality is just like, oh, that guy's so dynamic.
You worked your ass off.
He's gonna. I kept showing up.
Right.
I kept showing up. I never stopped.
And
for the first year and a half or 2 years, I had nobody fucking watching me. I had nobody watching me. There was probably less than 20 people with their eyeballs on me for my show when I was doing a 2 or 3 hour show every single day. So, yeah, I think we agree more than we recognize.
I just think that message, we collectively need to give that message more because I think what you've done. Okay, let me ask you, Kyle. If 1,000 people out there want to do what Kyle's doing, okay, and let's just say out of these 1,000 people, their interest is not politics. One guy's interest is basketball,
right?
But very good, like follows everything to basketball. One is movies, and it's a great movie critic, right? One is food recipes. One is, writing. One is math. Whatever it is, right? Everybody has something to offer to society. Do you think if they apply themselves and work the way you have and stay disciplined the way you have, you think they could also eventually make it?
I think a certain percentage of them would.
What percentage?
But if I'm guessing, maybe 15%.
Only 15% would make it if they did what you did.
20? Well, yeah. Well,
you think very highly
how many
of
people
yourself,
did you say?
Kyle.
What did you say? Like 400 people?
I said 1,000 people.
Okay, 1,000 people. Yeah, I think. Look. The harsh truth of the world.
How many videos have you uploaded? How many videos have you uploaded?
Tens of thousands,
bro.
Probably.
You're saying like what you've done is easy. All I'm saying to you is, if anybody goes out there, how much material do you read to stay on top?
It's endless from when I wake up to when I go to sleep.
Okay, so if I do what you do in my space of specialty, I'm a Disney guy. I'm a business guy. I'm a sports guy. I'm a art guy. I'm a scam guy. Like I study all the scams because there's great YouTube channels that do. I'm a guy that does what they do. But if I study the way you study and research, and I put 10,000 videos on YouTube, don't you think I'm eventually going to make it in my specialty?
It's not a guarantee, and that's the sad reality.
I think that's.
Do you disagree with that? Do you disagree with that?
But let me say what I mean. Like, okay, so it's very hard to debate this from your perspective. Here's okay. Do you work out? You're a good-looking guy.
I did for quite a while.
Okay.
Now,
so
I do the Trump workout regimen because I play golf. Trump workout.
But okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. We got 1,000 people. We're going to play this game in a different way. We got 1,000 people. If we have 1,000 people who agreed, okay, to stop eating bread, stop eating sugar, okay, and they got one cheat day a month, not even a week. They got one cheat day a month. You can eat whatever you want per month, but for 29 days, you're straight up clean. They did cardio 3 times a week, 30 minutes, and they went to the gym and they did weights for 45 minutes, 4 times a week. If 1,000 people did it,
they're all losing weight.
They're all losing weight.
Every single one of them is losing weight.
But the point, what I'm trying to say is, if people followed your methodology of researching, reading, working 10,000, busting their ass when no one's watching them, they're eventually going to win because that's how formulas work.
I understand that. I guess the core of our disagreement, though, is how much can be attributed to nurture/environment versus nature. And I think the core of our disagreement here is, especially when it comes to this particular field of YouTube, we all know people. Let's keep it real. There are people who have effectively anti-charisma. Sometimes there are some people who talk and you go, they have that X factor. I listen to them and I'm like, I want to listen to every fucking word they say. And then there's some people where the second they open
Yeah, it's called a high tune-out factor.
Yeah.
We're familiar with that around here.
One of the biggest YouTubes right now blowing up is ran by a guy that has he's not a charisma guy.
Who, Lex?
No, I get it. Look,
he's not a charisma guy.
Lex Friedman?
But he's so
beyond
he
smart.
does have his own charisma. I'll disagree with you on that and I think Noam Chomsky too. Agree or disagree with him? He makes monotone sound good.
I've had him on.
Lex makes monotone sound good.
Yeah. But
so,
I don't think
when you're that smart, people will listen.
You know what's crazy? Like I've been in sales for 21 years. What I used to judge as somebody that's going to be a great salesperson, I failed miserably. Let me explain to you why. So I would see a guy, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's personality is freaking, this guy's got to blow up. He's going to make millions, right? All of a sudden, it's like, no, he didn't.
He was lazy.
And then I had a guy that was terrible accent. From stage, he would say, the key to success is you got to focus. I'm like, what? You gotta fuck it.
Ladies
What
and gentlemen,
we do?
Fuck it for success.
By the way, if he ever writes a book, he's got to write a book that says the key is focus, right? Fuckis. But what he's trying to say is you got to focus, right?
Yeah.
And then he would go and talk to families. Half the time you would understand, but it wasn't like he was as charismatic as the other guy. But the guy was willing to do the work. All I'm saying, Kyle, to you is the following. All I'm saying is, I think when people come up to me and they say, well, you don't understand the challenges, you don't understand the life out, you don't understand how hard it is, I'm like, how many books have you read in the last 6 months? What course are you taking to improve yourself? What are you doing to get better? And if the answer is, I have a problem with that. I agree. I think that person needs to be held accountable.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think the problem is we're having two separate conversations. I think there's one conversation about the system and how we address the system. Then there's a whole other conversation about at the individual level, how do you treat people? What values do you impart on them? And I think on the values front, on the individual front, we agree 100%. Because, you should focus, you should try to create a culture of hard work. You should try to create a culture of people showing up, being passionate about something, giving their all to something. It's just, in my view, it's just two separate conversations where you could also have a separate conversation about what do we do with the system, what do we do with the tax rates, what do we do with the living wage law, what do we do about unions, and so that's where our disconnect is coming from.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan bought one, then he bought 3. Then when those 3 people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here, and to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.